Welcome to this next episode of the Beloved Miracles Couples Project. Today we're reaching from Norway to the Pittsburgh area in the state of Pennsylvania, USA. Hello, David and Tanya.
Hey.
Hello.
Tanya and David are personal brand mentors. So guys, where does your story of building together begin?
Wow. Our story begins.
Opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yes, there was a lot of turmoil and craziness and arguing. We knew that we had one thing. We had pursuing our walk with God and family and love and being introverts and homebodies and enjoying art. And you know, we wanted to make a difference in the world, and that was really the things that we had in common. Now, how we wanted to do that, I was entrepreneur at heart, and he had such a great gift and talent, and I was like, you should monetize that. And he's like, yeah, okay. and really still had the corporate mindset. So, you know, we really had a lot for the first actually couple years, a lot of
we've been
going
married
back and forth.
We've been married going on 8 years in May. And I would have to say, for the first 4 years, there was a lot of kicking and screaming concerning how we were going to do the business, because I enjoyed my art and I hustled it, and it was a great hustle. I would make my art, do business, all right, in that sort of sense, but not in the, I guess, the legal way, the right way.
Wait a minute, we're live.
Well, no, that's not what I mean. Is someone needs to clean this up. You might have to edit that part just a tad. It was a legal hustle. Put it. It was a legal hustle.
There were no strategies.
Yeah,
involved.
No strategy. There was no business plan.
Right.
On my end, and Tanya would always have to clean everything up. And that was where we started learning how to, I learned how to bring my business mindset and train my entrepreneurial mindset that I didn't know I had, and start elevating it to a real business.
So these are the opposites that you were hinting at coming together and colliding. And is that when systems began to show up?
Yeah.
I think, you know, actually what really shook everything was, in the beginning, David was working at a restaurant, and he got raised to management, and he was so excited. He was a waiter, a server, and next thing you know, he went into management and was very excited, but what that was longer hours. I mean, he was missing everything. And little by little, he started to see that he was missing things with the kids, missing things just in general with family, events, church, just everything. And then, you know, over time, you know, he was able to just kind of let go and do his part, which is the airbrushing at that time. He was able to do that and full time. And he left corporate America essentially. And that was a big wake up for him. So he realized that he was capable of actually going into business full time. And that was the really big leap for him. And I guess that's a system, as you could per se. I was still doing like speaking and teaching and things like that. So we were still building separate businesses. We still were not building the same. And then about maybe four years ago, about 4 years ago. So 4 years of struggle, and then about 4 years ago, then we had a system in place that we were able to do and leverage the online world, and a lot of what we do came together, and we started teaching and speaking together with the same message. So it was really the waking moment was when he was able to quit working.
You know, when you see the benefits of what a system and a business can do, and one mind. I think the most important thing that I was taking out of that is a double-minded man is unstable in all of his ways. And so when you have two minds, all right, that are not unified together, what will happen essentially is you'll divide your business. And so what could take 1 year will take 4 years. And so
Or never.
yeah, or never, because you know, you got a hole in the boat and you're sitting there trying to empty out the water, and you're not, and one is rowing, you know, instead of fixing the patch, you know what, you know, and then emptying out the water together and then rowing together.
Yes.
You eventually, you either start spinning in circles or you sink, but you never go anywhere. And essentially that was what was happening for us, that we were doing great business, but we weren't going anywhere, and people were getting to know us, but we weren't going anywhere. And essentially it just became, oh yeah, Dave and Tanya, they're great people, but no one would ever say anything about our business. And so then once we got on the same plane, we got on the same system, the same wavelengths, you know, we started thinking the same way. That's when things started to grow for us.
And it sounds like a system was key in bringing that harmony, that opus of the orchestra between you guys together, yeah, on a single note, on a single tone and rhythm.
Yeah, a one mind system, I guess, if you wanted to put it that way.
Yeah, well, there's many different systems that can bring someone into place. You know, we had our mentors, which we look at as a system as well, because, you know, the individuals that we had in and out of our church mentored us, and without that flowing together and everybody on one accord saying the same things and being able to speak to us, we wouldn't have healed a lot of the things we needed to do to move forward.
Right.
And that was a system in itself. And our family is a system, right? Online is a system. I know we were talking actually before we even started the live, that if you can just recognize that everything is a system, essentially, because like what you said, there's so many different things in general that you can say are systems. And, you know, sometimes instead of that online system or online business system or something like that, sometimes what couples really need to focus on is that system at home first, to get that piece there so they can get on one accord.
Well said. Well said. So now a system is in operation and you guys are beginning to come together more and more and more. What else changed, or what did you notice changing in you, around you, and rippling out to those that you were affecting at that time?
Influence would be one. If you're focused only on making money, that's all you're going to do, or probably not make any at all, because the business that what you're designed and created to do in this world is not for you. That's a benefit. That's a bonus. But it's for the world. Your ideas and creativity and your business is not to benefit you. It's to benefit the world. It's to benefit your sphere around you, your metron. And if you start to think of how you can help the next individual overcome, all right, then what you'll be able to do is grow that individual, and then in return you'll get a blessing back, with could be a monetary value, money increase, that kind of thing.
So essentially what I think from is really just perspective.
Yeah.
So what changed for us is perspective. So, you know, in the beginning, we're looking at the fact that we want to fulfill, you know, that call on our life. We want to, you know, be successful, whatever that means, right? I used to think it was that, you know, husband in a suit walking, you know, to his car while you have the white picket fence and the dog running around and the baby on the hip with the other little toddler laying dreamy like on your leg, and until I was like, you know, realized that was a perfect movie, and it is so not reality. They don't show the part of the dad struggling to go to work and almost crying in his car because he's not doing what he loves to do, and the woman overwhelmed at home because she doesn't feel appreciated and she wants to fulfill what she wants to do, and the baby just won't go to sleep and she can't do that podcast or that thing that she wants to do. And they
don't show the struggle of me getting out of bed, like on that Facebook post with my butt hanging out, like I don't want to get out, you know.
So yeah, I mean, and it's one of those things that it's just like, you know, that's just the facade. And so what really changed for us is the perspective. We had to sit down and really legitimately say, we were put together for a reason. We got married for a reason. Why is that reason? What are we supposed to accomplish together? What is the end result, and what is the purpose that I can't do by my own and he can't do by himself? But if we were together, we're a force to be reckoned with. And we had to realize, where is our groove? And as a couple. And so we had to literally write down, what are the end results that you want? Where do you want to go? Do you want to speak? Do you want to travel? What kind of lifestyle do you really, really want? Because I was going towards a different lifestyle. He was going towards a different lifestyle. And so we were literally clashing as well on that. Because I'm thinking, oh, we could do this and we could do this. And I wanted to go travel in an RV and see the world and go in the countries and do the kids' homeschool. And he's like, no, I don't want to do that. And so we were just like halted. Every time I would dream, he would come back with something no. So we had to compromise. We started doing traveling. Last summer, we went for a whole month. And we traveled and just hung out with our family and things like that, and left for the summer part. And that was a great compromise. So like I said, it was really just perspective. And once that shifted, we were allowed to actually were able to recognize the systems that were right in front of us the entire time that we could leverage appropriately.
I can't add much to that, right? I mean, that is just like, that is the opus, right? In music, they call that the opus, I think, when the orchestra and all of that just reaches that, I mean, you just really hit it there, Tanya. It's clear that a system allowed you guys to get your shared voice, to get your shared vision, and not only get it, but actually be able to, what I'm hearing is broadcast it, right? Be able to share it, send it out.
Yes.
And could you add any more? What did you notice in other people? How are you now that this system is at play and you guys are hitting your opus, what was showing up in change around you?
Well, definitely the credibility, individuals coming to us for mentorship, guidance, even little things we'd hear like, you should write a book on that, or you should do a class, or you should come and speak at this place. And it was almost like we didn't have to create things. We could just let it happen, and the attraction would just be there. And you know, it would be, whenever you're a good steward of what you have, you will always attract more. And that's really what it is. Because whenever you're a good steward, you naturally have the mindset of making sure that you're calculated, that you're thinking exactly, you know, of how you're going to carry out something. So, have something to say?
Mm-hmm. Oh, the testimonials that you receive, I think, are huge. And when you receive those testimonials from people that you have changed, and you start to see, you know, that their business is growing, you start to see that their personal life is changing, their marriage is getting stronger. Those are the little things that really mean so much.
Yeah.
And
so it's just, you just see the manifestation.
Right? You said it, Tanya, that you began attracting more and more of that. Like, rather than trying to chase it, make it happen, it was coming to you almost effortlessly. Is that?
Yes. Yes.
Nice. Okay.
Essentially,
go ahead.
Essentially what was happening, what happened was, the system was in place, and we just enjoyed one another, and we were so focused on fulfilling the call, making a difference, and just enjoying what we did, as opposed to having the stress of, we got to pay bills, we got to get this done, we got to make this money, you got to land this client, you got to do private coaching. Okay, is our prices enough? And then it's like, okay, if we do our price at this point, then we'll be able to recoup our finances. And instead of leading just with the heart and, you know, with the value that we have together. And so while you need to be a good steward of finances and things like that, we weren't focused on that anymore.
And it sounds like that opened up a whole lot of possibility there.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Okay, so now let's turn it to another couple who's working to build together. What advice would you have to share with them?
What advice? You know
go
what?
first.
There's so
because
much.
I want you to talk about how you had to work on yielding, one, as a man that you were still leading, but two, that you weren't supportive in business at first, and then you had to transition. Because I want to talk about the fact that how women can yield to that as well. Because I'm a strong woman, and I could have tended to overpower in a lot of things, and it was out of order.
Yeah, that right there is a really strong message, because you know, I think I think for myself, and I'll speak for myself, because it took a journey for me, because as a man, you know what, not really being interested in business in the beginning, not knowing anything about business, and having just a mindset, I just want to put food on the table. It was tough transitioning over, all right, knowing that my wife was carrying a big load, and everything that she was doing was turning into gold, you know, and here I am, you know what, well, I'm trying, and I'm not getting any gold dust, I'm not striking anything, you know, because I'm talking about when we were doing our businesses like separately.
Yeah.
And so then I'm like, all right, well, I'll go make dinner. All right, well, I'll put the clothes away. But the house was running. And so that in that transition, I learned that while there could be roles, there aren't roles, we all need to help the team. Goes right back to the paddle in the boat. You know, one is rowing, the other one is draining out the water, and then we fix the patch. If you're trying to take your business off the ground, and I think now that I'm kind of trying to frame this, her strengths and my strengths are not the same, and that's the reason and why that's a good thing, because where she's weak at, I'm strong at, and where I'm strong at, she's weak at, and that fits, that helps a couple work together, because two people strong in the same area, while it could be great, then the weaknesses at the back end, it can help you sink your boat, because you both are focused in one spot and you're missing out on the others. I'm hoping I'm saying this right, because from what I learned was just to allow the team to flow, you know, and not to be mad at one specific thing where, you know, and oh, well, she's making all the money and I'm not making any money. But that's okay. Did the kids eat? You know, the house is clean. These things are great. And then we were able to start flowing together, and the house got in order, you know, and then we both got in order. We both got in one line. I wasn't adding so much pressure on her. And, you know, I was actually taking pressure off of her. And that helped, you know, ease the pain, and the business was able to grow. And then next thing you know, I found my place. And then once I found my place, you know what, because we weren't adding so much stress, then things started to grow in a better angle, or just better, if I could say it that way. One mind, I think that's really where I want to go. Just be in unity with your wife, be in one mind, and know that you know, you learn from one another. Strengths and weaknesses, they complement one another. It's okay.
Yeah. So I have 5 things that really I would recommend for someone. You know, like David said, he had the focus in providing as a man, and never take that away from your husband. Ever, ever, ever take that away. Don't ever talk about how you make more money or you're more successful or you're whatever, because you guys need each other. And what I had to do, well, you know, he was able to pull some weight. If I said, honey, I have a podcast, or I have this, or I have that, I really did my best to, at this point, I have that schedule from like 2 o'clock, essentially 2:30 to about 8 o'clock when the kids go to bed. you know, that has to be non-negotiable time with the kids. And there's been times that I've had big projects and I'm like, honey, I need you to kind of help me this day. Can you have dinner and things like that?
Ego.
And, you know, yeah, he put his ego aside and he provided and helped. But it was not a consistent thing, guys. Like I don't sit there and never cook dinner and all he does is do dishes, laundry, and things like that. Like it was there. It's not even a balance. Okay, that is a priority of mine. As a woman, you want to nurture. As a man, you provide. It is what it is, and it's how we're created. So that was one thing, just yielding to each other and, you know, realizing if one person has something, you know, step up and help. The other thing is, you know, the nurture. He wasn't always where I was mentally. I'm a visionary. And he's more strategic and stuff like that. I'm a visionary. So what I can tend to do is overpower some things because of the fact that that's what I am. And I could negate some of the things in him, and I don't want to do that. I read a lot more and I study and I go to school in a certain subject. Doesn't mean that he's less intelligent. He studies and reads other things. So we had to learn how to I didn't want to drag him or force him or belittle him because I knew something and he didn't. That's where we talked about and understanding each other's strengths. The other thing was family first. Absolutely family first. If anything, you know what? God will honor you putting your family first. You have to be with your kids and instill in them. That's your legacy. So they're a priority. So don't get discouraged if you can't do as much as you want to do. There'll be a time that you can communicate, honestly, communicate everything with each other and reverse engineer your business. That's how we essentially did our system. What is the outcome? What is the result? Where are we going in our marriage and our life? What do we want to look like? What is our lifestyle? What is our legacy? What do we want to be known as? All these questions. What do we want to leave for our children? We wrote those all down and then reverse engineered a business or a system that would allow us to accomplish that.
Woo! That's just smoking, you guys. I mean, it's just hot. It's beyond warm. It's cooking. And I'm certain anyone who took notes like I did is walking away with some inspiration here. It boils down to what I usually describe it as, like together we overcome. And your story just so beautifully fits that for me, that by learning over these years to work together. And it's fluid, right? It's not even static today. I mean, it's real clear to me, even in the way we came together to do this with each other, that there needs to be a certain flexibility at the same time that there's a strength in knowing who we are. And then we can weave that together and overcome practically anything, is what I'm hearing from you now.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. Anything else you want to add?
Oh, there's always more to add. You know, I want to touch real quick on the ego, because I think that was huge. If I may, I don't think anybody cares how money gets in the account. You know, I don't think if someone goes and comes up to you and gives you money, gives you $100,000, you care. I don't think if you put in $10 and over, you know, a month, it accumulated in an investment into 100K. It doesn't. I don't think it really matters if, you know what, you were growing something and your wife was growing something and that produced faster than you. You know what? It went into your account. Ego has nothing to do with the money that comes into your account. What had just happened? And I say ego in terms of a man in his provision, because that right there is the biggest issue in a relationship. When you have two individuals who are trying to build something. And if you can put aside that money matters cause over 50% or more in divorce rates. And so we were talking about couples, right? And so that I think I wanted to stress that, because if money's coming in, it doesn't matter who's bringing it in. if it becomes a point where now it matters, well, now you have to reflect on, why does it matter? Where did the ego come in? Because if you are a formidable team, ego is essentially what's going to eat the relationship and the strength that's bringing the unity together, that's creating and influencing people to be attracted to you. Because eventually people will start to see the ego in your team, and now there's an I in your team, and what'll happen is your team will deteriorate.
And just really quickly to add to that is, most marriages that we have talked to marriage individuals, and we open our doors up to talk to couples concerning their systems and things like that. But the truth of the matter is, majority of couples have egos, male and female, when they come into the marriage.
Yeah.
It's, well, I came with this, I built this kind, and
Right.
we had that. I built this kind of success and you didn't. And now we're married together and I have to share my car with you that I purchased.
Competing, can't compete.
And we don't come into the marriage from the beginning saying truly, what is mine is yours, and what is, and what is, yours, the whole thing, where we're looking at it as we have it. Because he came from a waitering position. I came from a high-ranking corporate America, 70,000 a year, college degrees, car, house, all this stuff. And that was a huge issue with us in the beginning. And it was ego, but eventually we had to let that ego go. So, just to kind of
funny story. I was the Fresh Prince of Bel-Aire living in a pool house. It's like, I was living in at one point a ladies pool house in the church, which then it happened to be
my mom.
Her mom. So you want to talk about an ego crusher? That was big, and we had to work that out. And I think for the first 5 years of our marriage, we dealt with a lot of those things that we had to unpack. Had we have dealt with it in the beginning, we'd be somewhere way further along. And if anything, I would like to share that with any couple that's listening, any whether married or boyfriend, girlfriend, wanting to partner, wanting to start a business. Get the ego out of the way, all right, and come together in one mind, one unit, and in unity, and you'll see the sky becomes a limit.
I'm sure glad you guys fit that in the time we've got here today. I hope we're gonna reconnect, because you guys have touched on some really key ingredients in the recipe, and ego there is one of them, right? And this is not a simple, clear ingredients, right? It comes and goes in different ways for each of us. And at the same time, we need to figure out how to blend it together with another person's ego in a marriage, but it goes further, doesn't it? I mean, it's not enough that the family has its own harmony. We need to as well learn how we relate to others. So I think all of those elements have occurred here, guys. And I'm really, really, really grateful, because I know it doesn't come quick, fast, and easy. You guys have earned it. And I thank you so much for sharing the richness of your story.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's kind of a stretch out there, but these are words that stick with me. So I think I'll throw them in as well. This idea that that a man and a woman coming together in the way that you are, right? Like two cells, maybe the ego is here. And when they do come together, I've heard it said that we, in many ways, are learning to be a single cell in the heart of God.
Yeah, our apostle, he's funny. He's one of our mentors, and he says, fellas, the ladies are here. God created them to kill you. And essentially, we find that we're like dying. A piece of ourselves, in a good way, are dying every single day. And our egos are being, checked, and we're flowing better. So I totally agree with you. As long as you come to your spouse in a very loving way, and you are able to just grow with them through this process and not judge them, which is what I meant by nurture, it'll be a huge thing.
It is, and you guys have clearly demonstrated that today. So for now, we'll wrap it up until we can do this again, and I hope we will soon. From Norway to Pittsburgh, PA, thank you so much, David and Tanya.
Thank you so much for having us.